When Michelle Obama visited Watertown High School last week, our photographer noticed something and captured the reaction of the students the moment the First Lady walked on the stage. Do you notice something about this video? Almost every student has a smartphone, and the students recorded the historic moment at their high school at the same time and in unison. And according to Pew Research, 78% of teens now have a cell phone, and half of those have a smartphone.
We talked to UW journalism professor Katy Culver, who is an expert about all of this, about growing up in the digital age. And she says we wouldn't have seen a picture like the one we saw at Watertown High just a few short years ago.
It's a sign of the times, and I actually was, I didn't find it startling, I found it refreshing, because one of the arguments about cell phones is that they construct a barrier between us as humans. And I think there are some problems to be noted. But in that case, almost all of those kids, you saw them watching the First Lady with their eyes and holding their cell phone up here to catch their little moment for history. So they were recording video or taking pictures above them, not worrying about how they were composing them, but experiencing things live in the moment. And that's a good sign.
Is it an equalizer?
Oh, absolutely. So we see with other kinds of technologies, broadband access, computers in the home, we see a very broad digital divide between people, between the sort of information haves and have-nots, people who can afford that technology and people who can't. That shrinks a little bit with cell phones certainly, and also with smartphones. So someone who might not have the ability to apply for a job online because they don't have money for a laptop is able to do that with a smartphone. That's a good sign, but it's not all positive. So we still have a divide. It's smaller, but it's not gone.
What are some of the downsides, do you think?
Some of the downsides, I think there are some critics who say that a couple of things. One, we're alone together. So when we're with each other, we are all on this and we see each other's parts of the hair, and we're not making eye contact, we're not having conversations. That's certainly one downside. Another downside would be that we are living differently in a virtual world than we would in the real world. So when we're here, when I'm talking with you, I'm myself. But when I post something for you on Facebook, I'm an edited me. I get a chance to delete parts of me that I might not like. And there are a lot of people who are worried about that, about the long-term implications of that.
And kids can get in trouble, too. I mean,
kids can get in a lot of trouble.
Adults get in trouble.
Yes.
We see that all the time, and there's nobody's supervising these children.
Right. It's information on the fly. We do see quite a bit of cyberbullying, which is a big problem. We see social aspects, not being able to carry on conversations in job interviews, for instance, because you're so used to texting. There are some even writing instructors who are saying they're seeing degradation in people's writing styles because they're so used to writing by text, which is almost like headline writing in journalism.
Right. Well, it's gotten to the point now where I think we're almost dependent on them. If you find yourself in a situation where you don't have your phone or you forget your phone, it's a really isolating feeling. And there's a video that's going around that's gone viral now about a girl who had that exact experience and how it changed her whole day.
Yes, so she's in all these different scenarios in her real life, and everyone else is texting. And it's a very interesting and yet cynical take. I remember one time I forgot my cell phone at home, and I posted to Facebook, "Dear iPhone, I'm sorry I left you. If you get in trouble, use yourself to call 911. I mean, we do have this feeling that it's almost an amputation. And yet, I think, I disagree with the critics a little bit that it's the technology that determines where we're heading with it. I think there are things that we will always do as humans to adapt to cell phones and other technologies in our lives. My brother-in-law, for instance, if you sit down out to dinner with him, with friends or family, he makes everybody put their smartphone in the middle of the table, and the first person to pick it up gets the bill. So we adapt, we adjust, so I think there's reason to be concerned, especially as parents. I suggest doing that at your own dinner table, by the way. There's reason to be concerned, but I also think there's reason to be hopeful.
It's not going to go away.
It's certainly not going to go away, and it does have power to do good.
Just a second, I'm getting a text here.
Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Case in point, you left your cell phone in the car. Katy texted you she's going to be late.
Right, exactly. See, and you're paralyzed.
There you go.
I'm stealing that dinner idea.
That is a great idea.
That is a great idea.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Katy.